think not because court judges was going to prosecute them, because they made sure that it was prosecuted. If they had been in Mississippi, they would have prosecuted them and sent them to jail, because there was too many of us out in the street and they didn't know what was going to happen.
Okay, we're almost at the end of this segment. I wanted to share something with you here. This is a picture here of our girl, Miss Charity Hicks. You remember her, Charity Hicks. She was, I always called her my gangster diva. I always called her the gangster diva for justice. That's my baby sister, Miss Charity Hicks. She was a stone fighter. She fought right with us on all these issues in Detroit, and she's no longer with us. She was on her way to the UN in New York City, and she was killed by a hit and run accident. After the time, she was being jailed on some trumped up charges about her water bill. And she lost her life in New York about maybe 2 weeks after that. And of course, she has some horrible stories, some real horror stories of how things went in the jail system. What could you say about Miss Charity Hicks? Well, we all loved her so.
I met her in early 2000. I was working assistant in the pharmacy of Herman Kiefer in the pharmacy in the basement. I met her and she worked on the 5th floor. That's a hell of a...
Yeah, here's a picture of our baby girl, our Charity Hicks. I've always called her my baby sister, my gangster diva for justice in Detroit. When she speaks, damn it, she'll come to a screeching halt and you want to hear what this one have to say.
Yeah.
Tyrone, please tell me, what do you think about Miss Charity Hicks in these last few minutes that we have here?
Real fast. I first met her in early 2000. I worked in the pharmacy in the basement. She was on the 5th floor, but anyway, some kind of way we got to talk.
Yes.
She invited me to her office. And we sit and talk, and she furnished me with a lot of statistics that I needed. And in the course of talking, she was very wise. And I asked her age, and she told me. I was surprised that she was so young, because you don't see young people like that today. Very seldom, because we abandoned the young people, and it was a treasure, and we lost a treasure.
I did not know she was that young. She had the wisdom of someone far beyond her years. I just never knew she was that young.
No.
I will never forget one of my favorite moments was when we would be at council. It would take me all the strength I could muster up to keep Charity Hicks from jumping on Kwame Kenyatta when he raised our water race down there. She swung on him.
Yes.
And you know, I almost got dragged there trying to keep her off of Kwame Kenyatta, and then I can recall this reporter kept fucking with Charity. Charity kept telling the woman, please leave me alone with that camera. The woman wouldn't get the camera out of her face. Charity snatched the camera, broke the camera, snatched the person, went for that ass. And I went to grab Charity, and Charity dragged me across the room. But that's just a testament to how passionate this woman is. She's a stone freedom fighter, and many of us, we do suspect foul play. For her to be hit and run, going to the UN to address this water corruption in our water department from so many different levels, her life was taken away from her. And prior to this, she was jailed on trumped up charges concerning, I believe, her water bill. And she also exposed the really horrible treatment of the people in that jail facility. And so we're remembering Miss Charity Hicks, you know, as we also give our salute to Mr. Tyrone Travis, who you're looking at. He's like the father, really, of the Detroit Grassroots movement. And we're going to break for a minute. The battery is low, and we're about to head up to the penthouse, and we're going to give you more of Mr. Tyrone Travis.
But
Good people, we're back. We're up here in the penthouse. Me and Mr. Tyrone, I swear, we've been all over the city of Detroit, from one part to the other part, one corner of the city to the next. Really been having a good time, and now we're up here in the penthouse. And Mr. Tyrone has more to say to the public. What's going on there, Mr. Tyrone Travis?
yeah, I want to kind of briefly run our history, where we came from, where we at, and where we're going. When we were in slavery, we were in separate plantations. We as a people, as slaves, could not protect or promote our interests because geographically we were separated from each other. In plantation, I was born on the plantation and died on the plantation. But when so-called freedom in 1865 came about, we were emancipated to semi-slavery, sharecropping. and we were still on plantations. That was 90% of the blacks in America was still plantation workers.
Yes.
But in 1945, there was a mechanicalization of the farms. They called it the mechanical cotton picker. Throwed over 5 million of us off of the farms and plantations, and we then was forced to go to cities and urban. We became an urban people. But 10 years later, after 1945, the most historical boycott in the history was done in Montgomery, Alabama.
Hey, my hometown, yeah.
Yeah, and that a boycott was because we was consolidated. We wasn't separated anymore. We could see ourselves as having a common problem that aggravated our minds to a common struggle. And that common struggle that never was seen before was the people start having discontentment. And a young man came down from Georgia and joined the struggle that was already in being.
Yes.
And he gave conscience to that struggle,
yes.
and voice to that struggle. And he helped with his education organize the best method of that struggle. That the people themselves okay, because they know they could not fight with no guns and they don't make no bullets.
That's right.
And you had, so therefore, you had a revolution. It started in Montgomery. It spread it to 63 to Birmingham, Alabama.
Hey.
And when they had, that's the first time they started having mass direct action of mass demonstration. They did not demonstrate for an hour. They did not demonstrate just for a day. They demonstrated every day.
Every day.
In Birmingham, 38 days.
Yes.
They demonstrated and brought Birmingham to its knees.
Yes.
So therefore, the principle to demonstrate, when you hear the Detroiters say they demonstrated, there's never been a demonstration in Detroit. The demonstration principle is to demonstrate every day until the demands are met.
Yes.
And that principle is operated all over the world right today in 2004 to all those sycophants who say the 60s principle of direct mass action don't work. It worked in Egypt.
That's right.
It's worked in many other places. So therefore, Kennedy seen that was a danger. John Kennedy. And he said that marching created tension in 1963, July. He had a national TV address. Martin Luther King, a month later in Mayville, Virginia, they asked him, why are you leading a demonstration when the president says it caused tension? Martin Luther King says, I'm not afraid of a little tension.
Hey.
So that's how a break with Martin Luther King and the federal government came about. They thought they could buy him out. But in the end of that 63, he had a march on Washington. They didn't tell you what he came to Washington and said. It wasn't just about little white boys, little girls holding hands. He said, and get the speech you all, he said, if you think we come to Washington to blow off steam, you got a rude awakening.
Yes.
He said, if you think 1963 is the end, no, it's the beginning. And we will, listen to this, quote, continue to shake the foundation of America. What was he talking about, you all? He was talking about demonstration in 800 cities every day. And I remember, as a young man, seeing demonstration in 2 or 3 cities in one day. That's what he was talking about. That forced the 1964 Civil Rights Bill, not the goodness of Johnson and Kennedy and the Congress. And Bill Clinton was alive when he was running his wife, said that the Congress was good. No, it wasn't. He told a lie on history. Now, when they seen Martin Luther King and the people came back out in 1965 for voters' rights protection, they signed that bill of voters' rights protection, but that was in August. In October, they signed an immigration bill that Kennedy had wrote up to just replace us with immigrants. And in that immigration bill, they waited till King was assassinated. In 1968, they amended the 1965 immigration bill. It didn't become effective till 3 years after it passed it. When have you ever heard that? Because King understood policies, while the young, the other so-called leaders today, and at that time it was around him, didn't understand those policies. Because they was too busy looking for crumbs when he died. So,
That's right.
What they did in 68, they came up and say immigrants could come to America and bring their families.